Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another live stream session here at Rhino's Computer Service. Well, it's not really so much computer related this morning. It's just kind of, I guess first things first, picked a friend up to go to church this morning, but we didn't exactly stay there for the whole thing. Well, long story short, when you walk through the door and they're like, "Will you go to mass?" And I'm like, "No." They're like, "Well, we'll give you one." And I'm like, "Well, why should I need one to walk inside?" Well, we're like, "Well, Governor Evers says you have to have one on, and Joe Biden," and I'm like, "Oh, what's it to you if I don't have one on or not?" And they said, "Well," they're like, "Well, be a good person and just put one on." And I'm like, "No, I'm not doing that." And they're like, "Well, you're doing it for mankind. You're being a good person by wearing one." And I'm like, "No, I'm setting a bad example here by putting one on and complying with Nazism and communism. And since when do church ushers get to play as brown coats and dictate whether you can come in or not because you're complying with governor's orders or a quack from the CDC that really doesn't know what he's talking about or has any clue of much about anything, or a supposed president of the United States that's stupider than. And I'm not talking about Donald Trump. I'm talking about Creepy Joe, as a lot of you know. Creepy Joe doesn't know much of anything. When you see him on TV or something, the reason that he gives for certain news segments or certain things that he speaks so well is because they give him a lot of steroids and enhancement drugs, and technically when he's on TV, that's all filmed uh, in a Disney studio out in California. Since when does a White House actually have a parking lot in the back? That's news to me. Well, it is what it is. So many people are numb to everything that's going on, and that they believe what they're told. But if you really want to be a good Christian or a good Catholic, or you got to stand up for what you know is right. And I can tell you this: putting on a mask and taking the vaccine or doing the social distancing, you're not living the Christian life or the Catholic life. You're not being a good Christian by playing into the fear. And shame on you for doctoring other people in the fear of masks and all that. I don't care what they tell you. They're gonna sit and argue or certain people are gonna sit and argue with you, telling you just do what they say and everything will be good. No, you gotta fight back. You gotta stand your ground. You gotta be that bold Christian and rebuke them, not with hate, but just with love. You gotta you gotta get out there and just stand your ground and refuse to wear the mask. Because it's bad enough. I was watching a video that somebody sent me, and it was a Canadian church with a Polish pastor that were the brown coats, which they were actually technically police in the city of the city that this church took place in, and a bunch of other health public health officials that they just raided this church during the middle of service. And that Polish pastor told him to get out. I gotta give that Polish pastor lots of credit, because most of your wimpy pastors and priests nowadays would just bow down to Satan themselves and just say, okay, we'll shut our church down. Okay, we'll make people wear masks. Okay, we'll do this. Okay, we'll doctrinate fear into them. Okay, we'll do what you want. You can't, if you're a church leader or somebody that goes to church for part of the church, you gotta put your foot down to that. You can't just let the brown coats walk all over you. Because by doing that, because once they gain control, eventually they will shut the church down, and eventually they'll ban everybody's freedoms. And we're already seeing that now. There was a news article from NBC, no, not NBC, ABC America. I think that was either on Facebook or that they're making it so that you have to have the Nazi vaccination, aka 666 Microsoft patented either chip or shot before you can even enter into a stadium. That is communism, there, people. To indoctrinate fear into you that you have to have a vaccination in order to go into a stadium. That is just classic. That is just basically classic communism right there. And it's not in a gray area. It's in bold black and white right in front of you. And they've been talking about this, not so much in the media and stuff like this, but a lot of your Christian churches, actually, not even a lot of them. There's only, I would say there's like a handful throughout the United States they've been talking about this for the last 30, 40 years. Actually, in 50 to 60 years, they've been warning us about this propaganda. And so many people are blind to it. It's sad to see that people have fallen into it. But 99% of America, it's too late at this point to do something about it. We're to the point now where a lot of things are starting to, even though everything hasn't completely fallen into place as they planned yet, but it's still in the comings. I can't predict when things are going to come to an end or when certain things, but it's around the corner for a lot of sides. Even with Canada, they're forcing another. They're going to force another lockdown on Canada. But by that point, they want to. So basically, even with the United States, they tried to do this, that there's a shortage of coins and change. And what that did was the U.S. government tried to pull all the pennies, nickels, and dimes and quarters and that out of circulation and just say that there's no more of it. That wasn't Trump's doing. Actually, it wasn't even Biden's doing. That was the far left, which a more appropriate name for them is the radicalists. That's part of their doing. And actually, it's not even the United States government themselves that's involved. It's more the elites, like Rothschilds and Rockefellers and Bill Gates and Melinda Gates, George Soros, and there's over at least 300 people, and everybody. And there's a certain number from each continent, each country that are all involved. And yes, there are people from the United States, but there's a lot going on right now behind the scenes in the government. And when you talk about with other people, they tend to laugh at you, calling you crazy and that. But those people that laugh at you, they're ignorant fools that laugh about, well, that can't be true. They're in denial, and they don't want to come to the realization that stuff is going on. They're your type of people that tell you, well, the TV said this, so it must be true. I hate to break it to you, folks. Not everything you see on the news is the God honest truth. A lot of it's all propaganda, a lot of lies, a lot of manipulation, a lot of communism. You ever wonder why so many TV shows nowadays feature so much with Satan and evil and anti-Christian type values? Well, that's even since the 40s, they've been doing this with prostitution and sex and just kind of in immoral content. It's like all those R-rated movies and X-rated films and all of them. They produce content like that just to distract the American people on what's going on. It's like all the music in that they produce nowadays. A lot of the music that they produce over the years, a lot of it's because somebody asked me, they're like, why is certain songs so catchy? And after sitting and thinking about it for a while, they use certain verses and certain things, and a lot of it's evil and demonic. Does you ever wonder why certain artists die by the age of 27? It's like Janis Joplin and some of those other ones that the reason that they got so popular so fast and then they died by the age of 27 was they signed their souls over to the devil just so they can remain popular. It's like all those famous YouTubers out there that start out being in no cent to their name, not known by anybody, and all of a sudden they gain rapid subscribers. I'm not talking just one or two here, one or two there. I'm talking like 100,000 overnight type of ordeal. You can't just tell me that people like that just automatically have that luck of. And what I'm getting at is I'm not jealous of those people that have more. But the thing I'm trying to get at is you got to put two and two together here, because you got to put the puzzle together on why certain things are the way they are. And a lot of people, they don't really do that. They just kind of assume it's all good, but do the math, and you can. And even certain episodes of the X-Files series will help you determine kind of what goes on. Not the one so much with aliens, but more like the earlier X Files, like season 1, season 2, season 3. A lot of that was all government conspiracies, and some of that actually is true to a certain extent if you think about it. Not so much back in the 80s or 90s when that came out, but it's starting to apply more in today's economy and society with a lot of political stunts and some of the technology. And the other thing you also have to look at is even in some of the later seasons, some of it just kind of it falls into a certain category, especially the seasons that they released in like 2016 and 2017 in that time frame. So it's interesting, and yet a lot of people think it's all science fiction, but it's not far-fetched off in that retrospect. So on that note, I hope everybody enjoyed this little live stream session here. It's just kind of more of an informational for normally I don't do them this early in the day. Actually, it's not really that early in the day. It's more later in the morning. But I might be doing another one in a few hours, maybe something technology related. I'm not sure yet. We'll wait and see. So, God bless everybody. Take care. And hopefully we'll see you a little bit later.